Hello and welcome to the live session of Talks on Vedanta. And today I would like to thank you all who have responded us so beautifully in our last sessions which we had. And thank you once again for your tremendous response. And as proposed by some of our viewers, I would like to take up the subject, today's topic as Upanishads. So I request at the very beginning that to all our viewers who are here right now with us, that if you uh, give us your feedbacks at the end of the program, it would be very nice of you, and we can understand your uh, how you're thinking, or what more we can do if there are any suggestions on your behalf, and we will surely like to take them up and mm, do it more beautifully. And if you have any questions regarding this session or any other session, then it would be very nice, because in that case we would take your topic or your question as the topic for the next session. So I'd request all of you to kindly put your or give us your feedbacks and also your suggestions and questions, if any, so that they can be the topic for our next YouTube live session. So today, as I said at the very beginning, that with the as per the request of some of our viewers, we are going to take today's topic as Upanishads. So, Upanishads is going to be the topic for today's live session. So, Vedas are regarded as the scriptures of the Sanatan religion, the Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means which is eternal, which does not have a beginning. That is known as eternal or Sanatan. So, the religion which we normally know as Hindu, or the Hindu religion, what we say, it was actually known as, or it is still actually known as, the Sanatan religion or the Sanatan Dharma. Why? Because it doesn't have a beginning. It was not started by some particular person. So that is why it is said to be Sanatan. That means it was not started by someone in particular. So, as it is not told by a particular person, so it is also not personal. It does not belong to anyone, or it's not the saying, or it is not the words of a single person. So it is also a compilation of all the feelings or the realizations that the sages had from time to time. So it's a compilation of all the realizations that the sages or the rishis, as we say, the rishis, they are said to be the rishi means the seers of truth. Rishis, actually, we in English we normally call them sages, but rishis are known as the seers of truth. Those who has have seen the truth are known as rishis. So these are the Vedas are the compilation of different realizations which the rishis had from time to time. So this is a compilation, and hence it does not belong to any particular person or any one sage or rishi. That is why it is as realizations are always universal. realization of the absolute truth is always universal. Why? Because that which is truth, that which is eternal and universal truth, is a truth for always, for the past, for the present, and for the future. It is always a truth. Similarly, the truth which one realizes after knowing the absolute self, or uh, knowing the absolute truth or the ultimate truth, it is always universal. Like, for example, if I say that, or we normally say, the sun rises in the east. So it's a universal truth, okay, for every one of us who live on earth or in this planet. This is a truth for us, that the sun rises in the east. So we can never say that the sun rises from the south. If you are living in India, or if you are living in Africa, or if you are living in the United States, or anywhere in the earth, this truth is the truth for everyone and forever. It was in the past, it is in the present, it will be in the future. So, what is it that we say that the sun rises in the east? It is a truth, and it is a universal truth. So, universal truth means that which is not only true for me but for everyone, and for the past, the present, and the future. So, realizations about this truth is universal. So, this compilation of the realizations of truth, as they do not belong to any particular person or particular rishi, and as it did not come out from a single person, that is why these are also known as the Apaurasheya Vani. Purush means person. Apaurusheya means that which does not belong to any individual. So it is universal. These Vedas are known as, they are also known as Apaurusheya, that which does not belong to any single person. Because this realization is an eternal realization. This realization is true. It was true in the past. It is true for the present time, for the present moment of this particular time, and it will be the same for or in the future. So it is known as Apaurusheya, not being told by anyone, which did not come out from a single person. Apaurusheya. And these Upanishads, where does it come from, or where is it in the Vedas? It's a part of the Vedas. The Vedas can be mainly divided. We can divide the Vedas into three main parts. So the first is the Samhita. There are two means thoughts in this, that some divide it into three sections, or some divide it into four sections. So when it is divided into four sections, the first part is known as the Sanghita. The Sanghita, which comprises of the incantations, the mantras. And then the next one is the Brahman, which tells about the utilities of those mantras. The third is referred to as Aranyak. Aranyak means when, after these rituals with these incantations, the mind is gradually purified, the mind gets pure, then what happens is that we, with the purification of the mind as our mind gets purified, we make ourselves eligible for higher thoughts, for higher truths. Then we no longer confine ourselves to this truth which we see, or just we are not satisfied with worship and other things. We then want to know what is the truth. This, what we see, is also true. It is said in Vedanta that we are marching from truth to truth, not from error to truth. This is a beautiful saying of Vedanta, which we will come, of course, in our later sessions when we talk intensely or in depth about Vedanta. So, we are all marching from truth to truth, not from error to truth. That means, for example, again, let me take that very example that, as I said, that the sun rises in the east. We say that, when we uh, studied in our first grade or second standard, third standard, in class 2, 3, we are, or in class 1 also, we are taught the sun rises in the east. And the question came, where does the sun rise from? We used to write, the sun rises in the east. And we got marks. We passed our exams with good results. But, and that was true. That was true. Because we got marks. So that was true that the sun rises in the east. But as we got promoted with our promotion to higher standards like class 6, 7, 8, 9, when you went there, then we saw that actually the sun does not rise in the east. So, what is it? What then? Where does the sun rise? Actually, the sun does not rise. It is because that the earth revolves from west to east that we see the sun moving from east to west. So, actually, the sun does not rise in the east and goes to the west in the evening. Actually, our earth revolves around the sun in a direction from west to east, and that is why we see that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But then, if the sun does not rise in the east, then why were we taught? That is a truth for class 1. That is not wrong. That is true. But that is true for a first or second standard student. It is not true for a student who is reading in the 8th or ninth standard. He will say, no, excuse me, the sun does not rise in the east and the sun does not set in the west. There is no rising and setting of the sun. That is more correct. That is more correct. So, what I read in class 1 was true, but that was a lower truth. What I learned in class 7 or 8, that the sun does not rise and it doesn't set, that is a higher truth. So we are all marching from truth to truth. That means from a lower truth to a higher truth. We are not marching from error to truth. We are always marching from a lower truth to a higher truth. This is our march. This is our journey. So, after this, when we know this truth, how we get it? When our mind becomes clearer, the more our mind becomes purified, the more our mind becomes clearer, it is cleansed of all other thoughts, it becomes more and more pure. So, when our mind becomes pure, we get eligible or we make ourselves eligible for higher thoughts. Then we are no more satisfied with the so called truth that we see in this world. We try to know a truth which is absolute, which is higher than what we see now. So, that preparation for making us more eligible to grasp that ultimate truth, that part is known as Aranyak. Because in those times, in the ancient times, or in the age of the Vedic Vedas, what did they do? They used to leave their house, they used to renounce everything and go to Aranya, that is the forest, and prepare themselves for the ultimate truth, for the ultimate realization. So that is why it is known as Aranyak, the third part. And the last part and the ultimate part is known as Upanishads, where he questions about the ultimate truth, where he analyzes the ultimate truth, where he tries to realize that ultimate truth, and he realizes it in the heart of his heart. He realizes that truth and becomes one with it. So that section where that truth is being realized, that truth is being questioned or analyzed, that section is known as Upanishads. So it is Sanghita, the first part, Brahman, the second, Aranyak, the third, and the fourth is the Upanishads. So, what is the meaning of Upanishads? Upa means near, in proximity, near to. Like we say, anything which has a upa in front of it, that means near. Upanivesh means living near that area. So Upanishad means, what does the term Upanishad means? To be in proximity or to stay in near to that knowledge which erases or eradicates our sufferings, our pains, our sorrows forever. That knowledge which uproots our sufferings for good is known as Upanishad. So, and remember, it uproots our suffering. Uproot means there is a difference, There is a difference between cutting and uprooting. If you cut a tree, you will not see the leaves or the branches for many days, But again, as it has its root deep in the soil, so it will have its new branches and new leaves gradually. After a few months, maybe you will be seeing that the new leaves are coming out. But if it is uprooted, when the connection between the soil and the root is cut asunder, then it will no more grow. It cannot grow big. It cannot grow anymore. So, uprooting means to finish it forever, for good. That is the meaning of Upanishad. The knowledge which uproots our sorrows and suffering for good, forever. That knowledge is known as Upanishad. Now you see, if we look into ourselves, we will see that we always try to get rid of our sufferings and pains, isn't it? There is nobody in this earth or in this planet who likes to suffer or who likes to, endure pain and sufferings and all these things, because no one likes it. We like to live happily. We like to live in peace. We like to, live a beautiful life. Nobody wants sorrow. Nobody wants misery. Nobody wants pains and sufferings. Nobody. And we strive or we endeavor our utmost, we give our best to eradicate our sufferings, to put an end to our pains, our sufferings, our miseries, our sorrows. With all the things I have at my disposal, with my education, with my money, with my friends, my relatives, putting in, these are all powers, you see. Education, it's also a power, the power of knowledge. Then money, it's power. Relatives, that is also a power. So with all my capacity, with all my mights and capacity, I try to eradicate my sufferings, my sorrows, my miseries. But, and that implies, that, because if I question why do I want to get rid of sufferings? Because that is my nature. That is the beauty of Upanishads. And mind one thing, Upanishads and Vedanta are synonymous. Upanishads are commonly known as Vedanta, popularly known as Vedanta. So Vedanta means Upanishads, or Upanishad means Vedanta. They are synonymous. So Vedanta or Upanishads says that we want to get rid of our sufferings or we want to get rid of our pains and sorrows because in our real nature we are of the nature of existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Sat Chit Ananda, Satchidananda, Shivoham, Shivoham. We are of the nature of existence absolute. We are of the nature of consciousness or knowledge absolute. We are of the nature of bliss absolute. And as we are of the nature of bliss absolute, we are of the nature of peace absolute. That is why we want to get rid of our sufferings. Because that is my nature. Everyone wants to go back to its natural form. That is the law of science. Everyone wants to go back to its natural form. For example, in science, we know that when an electron is being energized, if you energize an electron of any atom of a particular shell, we know the electrons revolve around in a particular shell, like around the nucleus. It revolves around the nucleus in a particular shell. So, and it has a particular energy. So, if we increase or decrease that energy of the electron, what does it do? If we increase the energy, then it jumps to the next level, next shell. Or if we take energy from it, it goes back to the lower shell. But it will always have the tendency to either give out the extra energy or to take back the energy that was taken from it, to restore its normalcy and go back to its normal shell. That is the law of science. Similarly, this law applies everywhere, that my normal or my normalcy or my real nature is that I am of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda. That is existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. That is what Vedanta proclaims. So, when I am of the nature of Satchidananda, the nature which I see now, I am not Satchidananda. I am not existence absolute. I cannot find myself because I was born. I know we all of us have a date of birth. So I was born that day. So before that, I did not exist. Now I exist, and there will be a date of death. If we like it or not, doesn't matter. We will die. That is for sure. That is the most certain thing that will happen and which is inevitable. I may or may not have wealth. I may or may not have a good health. I may or may not have a house. I may or may not have property. These are all, uncertain. But one thing is very certain, and that is death. Whether we like it or not, we are going to die. So my existence will come to an end. Before birth, I did not exist. Now in the middle, I exist. And again after death, I will not exist. So what I see myself is not as existence absolute, because what is the meaning of existence absolute? That I existed in the past, I exist at the present, and I will exist in the future. But contradictory to it, I see that I did not exist in the past. I existed from the day I was being born. I will exist till the day I die, and after that, again, I will be non existent. So, what is being said in the Upanishads or Vedanta is just contradictory to what I feel. Then it is said that I am of the nature of knowledge absolute. But I don't see myself as knowledge absolute. I don't know everything. Knowledge absolute means the ultimate knowledge. But I know I'm ignorant. Ignorant in the sense that, okay, I have got some educational qualifications, but that's not all in all. I don't know so many things. I know very little, very, very little. However great scholar we might be compared to this infinite universe, what we know is but a fraction of a fraction. We know an infinitesimal part of this whole universe. If I am a great scholar, even then, and if I am just a normal human being with a normal educational qualification, we don't have to say anything. How much we know. So I am not of the nature of, I don't see or I don't feel myself as the nature of knowledge absolute. I don't see myself as, and then what is said, the last thing, the nature, it's the nature of Brahman, existence absolute, knowledge absolute, and Ananda, that is bliss absolute. I don't feel myself as bliss absolute. We don't. I see sufferings in me. I feel the pain in me. I feel misery in me, sorrow in me. And it is said that I am of the nature of bliss absolute. I am in total contrast to it. So I don't see these things. But Vedanta says, what does Vedanta say? That in your real nature, you are actually existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. And it is only when we realize this real nature of ours that we can uproot. It's not that after realizing we uproot it automatically or it spontaneously, the sufferings, the miseries, the ignorance, they get uprooted. That means they cannot come back. It's not cut, it's uprooted. They do not come back. So there can be a question that a self-realized person, doesn't he feel the suffering or the pains or sorrows or all these things of the what we people of this mundane world we feel? Yes, he feels. It's not that he doesn't feel, but he does not get restless like us. With the minutest of our sufferings, we become restless, chaotic, and we scream and shriek and everything. Then what is the difference? They will also have these sufferings, pains, but they don't scream and shriek and become restless and makes other restless like us. Because there will be action. Vedanta says, let there be action, because you cannot help the action. You cannot stop the action. The action will be there. Like, at times we feel some, maybe my relative or one of my friends suddenly say something bad to me, which I don't feel good, you know. So I cannot stop it. I cannot stop this action because I don't know what he is going to say. It, you will see it normally happens, when all of our friends we are together and we are just having a gossip, just a light gossip, with some light topics, and we are just having jokes and funs, and suddenly someone says something which hurts me. It was not meant to hurt me, but the situation and the circumstance, or maybe my mental state or his mental state was, uh, means all this makes happen automatically, and I feel hurt. So I cannot stop this because I don't know how he is going to react, how he is going to see the things, or what he is going to say. I don't know what he is going to say the next moment. So I cannot stop that. So I cannot stop the action. But what I can do is I can stop the reaction. It is not the action which matters, it is the reaction which matters most. Because you see, at times, what happens that there are some people who, with the slightest of such things, someone telling something, they become so sensitive, so sentimental, they give up talking to that person, and they, break that friendship, and these and that, and create a mess. Again, there are persons who, with those same words, with those same situation, maybe the situation was worse and he was said more harsh things, but they take it very lightly. Oh, it's okay. He was not in a good mental state. It's okay. It's fine. There is nothing to worry. He becomes fine. The first person, he loses his sleep and he is upset and frustrated, depressed. So many things happen. But with the second person, the same thing, or maybe he was in a worse condition or a worse situation and was said much more harsh and rough things. But he could control his reaction, and so he takes it lightly, and just he just shakes it off you like this, like, okay, it's fine. He doesn't lose his sleep, he doesn't lose his appetite, he doesn't lose his happiness. So it's the same action, but as the reactions differ, the world they create becomes different. So is the thing with the self-realized person. They will also have sufferings. They will also see their teeth and kin, or their close friends or relatives die, or something unfortunate happening. But then, with the slightest of those things, I will become depressed. I will just fall into deep sorrow, grief, and all those things. While a self-realized person, he will also face the same thing, but he will be much more cool and calm, because the main thing has been uprooted. That what is uprooted is ignorance. When the ignorance is uprooted, all these things they react because of the ignorance in me. He will also face the same thing, but he will not react in that way because the ignorance in him is uprooted. It is not that he will not feel any pain, but he will know that is the truth. No one can escape it. It is not that he will not feel sorrow, but he will not be attached with sorrow, what we know as moha, attachment. He will see his dear friend or dear relative dying, but he will not be grief stricken, with a great shock, because he knows that is the truth, because he has known the ultimate truth. So he is rooted in truth. So he will see it. There will be the action, but the reaction will be different than me. What I have. My reaction and his reaction will be different. And this is the difference which is created and makes my world a different world and the world of a self realized person a different world. So that is the knowledge of the Upanishads, which uproots the ignorance from us for good, and it gives us peace, happiness, bliss. This is Upanishad. And the Upanishad deals with the primary questions of life. It does not take anything for granted. This is another difference because the difference between one man and another man is in the difference of thoughts, nothing else. Physical things, this what we say as name and form, they may differ. Someone may be good looking, someone may not be so good looking. Someone may be rich, someone may be poor, but that doesn't make so much of a difference between a man and a man. The main difference which it makes is in the difference of thought. How I think and how you think, that is the main difference. And Upanishad gives stress on this thought. It says that rectify your thoughts. And how does it see? It questions. It does not take for granted. That is the beauty of Upanishad, that it does not tell you to believe what is being said or what you see, just don't believe it. Question it. You have every right to question. You have every right to analyze. You have every right to see the truth for yourself, and don't take the truth which has been said as granted. See it for yourself. Have a look. Look it for yourself. Feel it. And then you come to know. So it questions why. Why like this? Why not like this? Like, to give an example, uh, there's a very beautiful Upanishad, the Kathopanishad. Of course, we will be coming later on to different Upanishads, because today we are talking on overall aspect or a overview of the Upanishads. And to say you just to give it in figures, that there are actually 108 Upanishads. Okay, among them 11 are regarded to be the main Upanishads. So these one of the 11, the name of the Upanishad which I am going to refer is Kathopanishad. So in Kathopanishad, the disciple asks the guru. So it's not a dialogue. It's not that in the Upanishads you will not find, the conventional way what we think that, religion means that someone will be saying to you something, and you with your folded hands will be listening to him, and you have to believe what he says. You cannot ask questions, you cannot analyze, you cannot, think over them. Just you have to believe. No. Upanishad says you think it, analyze it, see it for yourself. That is the beauty of Upanishads. So, Kathopanishad, there the disciple Nachiketa, he asks his guru, his master, his preceptor, that, O Guru, some say that after death the existence of the soul is no more. Whereas some say that even on the extinction of this, even on the perishing of this physical existence, when this physical body dies, it is burnt or it is cremated or whatever you do, after that, after perishing of this body, the soul exists. What is the truth? I want to know the truth. Is my existence finished with my physical death, or I exist even after my physical death? What is the truth? So there is the question. In another Upanishad, it has been beautifully said that does the eye see of its own, or there is someone beyond the eye who inspires the eye to see? Does the hear does the ear hear on its own, or is there someone who inspires the ear to hear? Does the mouth or the tongue speaks of its own, or is there someone who inspires it to speak? Does the mind think of its own, or is there someone behind the mind, beyond the mind, who inspires the mind to think? So you see, they are questioning. And these questions are very primary and fundamental questions. Primary means not means low questions. They are the very basic and fundamental questions of life. We whatever we see, we take it for granted. But they did not. They questioned why. Is there someone beyond? Is there a truth which I cannot feel right now, but there it is still there? Or is it what we see that is the absolute? What is the truth? Kindly tell me the truth. That is the beauty of Upanishads. That is the beauty. So, and what is the culminating point? When I realize the truth, what is being referred as, which I say time and again, Satchidananda. When I realize this Satchidananda as myself and I identify it with myself as one, that I am one with that Satchidananda, that is known as, that Satchidananda is being referred as Atman or Brahman in the Upanishads of Vedanta. So, the realization of this ultimate truth of Atman or Brahman, so realization of Atman or realization of Brahman is the culminating point of the Upanishads, is the culminating point of Vedanta, where I realize this absolute truth that yes, there is an existence which is the fundamental existence of everything. There is a knowledge or consciousness which is the fundamental consciousness. There is a bliss which is my nature, with which I am one and inseparable. This is the absolute knowledge, or this is the absolute nature of myself. So, Vedanta or Upanishads say that I am of the nature of this existence, consciousness, and bliss absolute. And once you know that, the ignorance is being uprooted forever, for good. And then your reaction to this world will be something beautiful to see. It will be beautiful to see. Because you will be, when I can know or when I can realize myself as an existence absolute, that existence which existed in the past, which exists now, and which will exist in the future, death is no more for me. Yeah, this body will die, this body will perish, but I will know that I am not the body. I am an existence which is beyond the body. I am an existence which is beyond the mind. I come to know the real existence of mind. I come to know or realize the existence absolute and identify it as one with myself. So when I know this, I cross all boundaries of death. I cross all boundaries of fear. Because the ignorance which made me feel that fear, which reacted in a violent way with the seeing the actions of the world, that very ignorance is uprooted. It is gone. So what remains of me is Satchidananda, the beautiful Satchidananda, that which is beyond this phenomenal world, which the world or anything of this phenomenal world cannot touch, and that is why it is known as intangible. Nothing whatsoever, the grossest or the subtlest of this world can touch it. No humdrum of this universe can touch or distort the peace absolute, the bliss absolute. And when I identify itself as one with me, then I see that yes, what has been said in the Upanishads, what has been said in the Vedas, what has been said in Vedanta, that aham brahmasmi, मैं ही ब्रह्म हूँ, I am verily the Brahman, which is one without a second, which is of the nature of knowledge, existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. This is the knowledge of Vedanta. This is the knowledge of the Upanishads, which it proclaims. And it time and again says that in your real nature you are Brahman, you are verily the Brahman itself. You are one and inseparable with it. Earlier, this knowledge used to be handed over from the guru, from the master to the disciple orally, you know, and hence, and after that, it was again handed over to the next generation, again orally. So it came down orally from one generation to another, from the master to the disciple, from again that disciple to his disciple. So this knowledge came down, these realizations, they came down orally, they were handed over orally. So orally means they used to hear it and then they again used to tell to their disciples. So it is also known as Shruti. Vedas are also referred to as Shruti. Why? Shruti means that which is heard. Sravan. Sravan means to hear. They heard it from their guru and then they used to hand it over to their disciple in this way. So from Sravan, the word Shruti. So these were handed over orally until Veda Vyas, Vyasdev, whom we popularly know as Vyasdev, who um, mm, wrote all those Puranas and also we know the Mahabharata. who described the Mahabharata, told the Mahabharata. So until and unless Vyasdev wrote it down and gave them the form of, you know, books, books not in the sense we have today, as it was thousands of years ago. So this is the a overview of the Upanishads. What does it mean? What does it say? What does it proclaim? And in our next sessions, we will be having a detailed discussion on various Upanishads. We will be taking up Upanishads one by one, and we will be having detailed discussions over on them, on the Upanishads one by one. So I again thank you all for being with us on this session of YouTube Live. Thank you very much. And I also again thank you for your beautiful response, overwhelming response. And we would like you to give us your feedbacks, going to the comment section, commenting. And if you have anything to ask, any questions, please do write us so that we may see those questions and we may make your questions the very topic for our coming sessions. So thank you once again. Thank you all. Jai Baba.